guys, it's Rachel Smock. Today I'm going to show you guys how to mask a layer and basically cut out an image so that you can completely change the background. So I've got my image here in Photoshop. I'm using the current version of Adobe Photoshop 2020 of the Creative Cloud membership. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the layer into Photoshop, and then you want to make sure that you're going to unlock the layer. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to come up to the very top left where it says select, and we're going to hit subject. And Photoshop, what this does is Photoshop will automatically find the subject matter and create a selection around that. And it's going to cut out all the background and select just my friend Melissa here. Now, when I zoom in, you can see there's some spots here that we still have the white background that I don't want to include in the final cutout. And I also want to include this entire shoe because that's part of the detail. So it does a really good job, but there's just certain parts that I want to go back around and either add in or take out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the left-hand side and I'm going to click on the lasso tool. So that's right over here. And once I've clicked on that, on a Mac, I'm going to hold down Option to cut out the areas that I don't want. So let's zoom in here. We'll start with this little section. And I'm just cutting out this whole white section. Like that. We'll come in here, cut out this little guy. So I'm just going to keep doing this for all the sections that I want to cut out. Again, you don't have to be super particular. Photoshop does a really good job. I remember I've been a editor for a couple of years when Photoshop was just getting started, and this used to take forever. Whoops, I actually want to add that in, not cut it out. But this is so much faster. I remember this stuff used to take like hours, and now you can get this done in 5 minutes, which is pretty awesome. So let's see here. I think we're gonna come back here. It looks like there's a spot underneath her dress we need to cut out right in here. Just like that. So as you can see, this is just kind of minusing the pixels that we don't want within the subject. Let's come back here, grab this one, just make it a little bit bigger. All right, so now that we've cut out the pixels we don't want, we're going to add in the pixels that we do want. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Shift, and that's going to give me the plus lasso tool. And now we're going to come back up here and just add in a little bit more of the detail on the top of the head. Again, doesn't need to be super particular. We'll add in a little bit more here. This is part of her shoe, so I want to keep these details. And then where Photoshop has a hard time is around the appendages, so fingers. I usually always have to go back in and add those guys back in. So we'll just go through this whole image and make sure that everything that we want included in this final mask, like this stuff right here, is selected. And I'm gonna just clean this up a little tiny bit and take out some of these pixels. That looks good. Scroll down here. So again, I'm going to take out just a little bit of these pixels on the bottom that I missed. And we're going to add in that. And come back up here. So as you can see, the spots where the highlights get blown out, you want to be really careful to go back in and make sure that the spots that you want are actually selected. I'm going to drag this up just a little bit. And come back up here. All right, she's looking really good. So now I'm going to come back down to the bottom and select her shoe. This would work best if you have one of those editing pens, but I don't. I don't even have a mouse, I'm using my finger. So bear with me, it's a little choppy, but I'm here to show you you can do a lot of great work with minimal equipment. So we have almost the entire shoe selected. Let's go back here. Have this little piece. And this guy. All right, so looks like we have all the pixels selected that we want. And again, like I said, it doesn't have to be super accurate, but try to keep, all the pixels that you do want within the image selected. And once we have done this, we're going to actually go back up to that same select button. And we're going to go down to select and mask. And if you're using a Mac, the shortcut for that is going to be Option Command R. So we're going to click on that. And one of the first things that I do is, normally when you come in, this is going to be on onion screen. I like to actually put this on black and bring the opacity, it might be at 0. I like to bring the opacity up just so I can kind of see what I'm working with when I zoom in. So now we're going to go to the side settings on the right, and after we've made sure that we are on high quality preview, we've gone to the on black setting, we're going to scroll down to where it says output settings, and we are going to click on decontaminate color. Sometimes you'll get like a halo or a little bit of a glow in certain parts that you don't want, and so this just helps get rid of that. Now, I don't really touch the global refinements here because it doesn't really make a crazy difference And for radius, we're going to keep that 0. So then we're going to go ahead and press OK. And we'll zoom back out. So what Photoshop has done is it's created a new layer and masked my friend Melissa in what's called a vector mask layer. So now I'm going to convert this into a smart object, and that just helps retain the info and the detail if we want to scale this, especially if it's not a high-res image like this one is. So the way to do that is we're going to go down here and we're going to right-click and hit Convert to Smart Object. So now we just have our one layer here. And the next thing that I'm going to do is we're going to add in a different solid color for the background. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to click on Solid Color. And then I'm just going to search for the color that I want. Let's see, F24848. Now this isn't exactly what I'm wanting in terms of color. Hey guys, I had to pause the video really quick just to figure out why the web colors that Local 480 gave me weren't translating for the background color, but I did go ahead and fix that, so we are going to continue this tutorial. One of the things we're going to do, since this is a smart layer, we're going to transform that. You can actually press Command T, that's the shortcut, to scale. And we can make my friend Melissa bigger, smaller. We're going to make her a little bit bigger. Take up a little bit more of the space here. All right, so the next thing that we're gonna do is I'm gonna go in here. I'm kind of lazy. This is what we're going for the Local 480 agency's headshots. Very vibrant, high key, poppy in terms of the lighting and just the entire style. So since I don't want to do all of this all over again, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to select all the files that I kind of want to duplicate just to save time. And I'm going to click here and I'm going to go all the way up to where it says duplicate layers. And Photoshop is going to ask me where I want to duplicate these layers. So I don't want to duplicate them on the same image here. I actually want to take them and bring them back into the image of my friend Melissa. So I'm going to click right up here and hit OK, and we'll go back. So now we've got our basic outline of what we're going to be working with. Obviously my friend Melissa is not named David, so we're going to have to fill in all this new information here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create another layer because I'm going to actually create a whole new box. So I'm going to come right up here to the marquee tool, and where it says style, normal is just going to let you make any size box. I want to keep the boxes within the same ratio, so I'm going to go to fixed ratio, and as you can see for width and height I actually have my settings already dialed in. So then I'm going to come right over here, and in this layer 3 again, I'm going to create a whole nother box. All right, so we've got our whole new box. You can see it's a little bit bigger. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to right click, and instead of hitting fill like we did for the original layer, we're going to hit stroke. So when we come to stroke, I'm going to change my color to white, and I want the width to be pretty big like this one is, so we can kind of see that it's a little frame that goes around. Make sure that the opacity is 100%, and I'm going to hit OK. So now you can see we have a brand new box that we are going to put around my friend Melissa. So I'm going to delete layer 1. We don't need that layer anymore. And now I want to figure out how, actually before I delete layer 1, let's go back. I want to make this box that I just created smaller so it's about the same size as this box here. And I'll make it maybe a little bit bigger since this one is a full-length image, and the one that I did for D-Lo is actually a 3/4 and up shot. It's more of a traditional headshot, if you can call these traditional. I love when clients just go balls to the wall and do something really fun that showcases their personality. So I'm going to unselect this, and again I'm going to go down to layer 1 and I'm going to click the little eyeball and get rid of that. Now I want to figure out how this box is going to lay. I want it to be something where it's behind Melissa in certain spots, where it looks like she's just kind of popping out of this frame, and underneath certain spots. So we're going to play around with this for a minute here. Obviously I don't want this frame in front of her face, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to the eraser tool, and you want to make sure the biggest important thing for erasing out this detail is making sure that it's at the hardest setting so that when I get to the edges it looks really good. So I'll show you. I'm going to make this size a little bit smaller for my brush, and we're going to zoom in here. And I'm just going to erase right where it starts at her hairline and erase all of this. We'll go and we'll make the brush a little bit bigger to save time. I think the very first time I ever did this, you guys, was back in like 2003. Actually, let's go back. I added erase a little too much. Back in 2003, and I literally remember this, something like this, taking me an entire day. Now, you can see it's cutting off her fingernail a little bit, so I'm just gonna go up here really quick and lower the opacity so I can see where I want to erase. And we'll make our brush really small. Maybe not one pixel. Let's bring it up to like 3. And we'll bring back that fingernail. So that looks good up there. And now I think I want to keep 1 foot behind the frame, and I want to bring 1 foot in front. So I'm going to leave this foot behind the frame, and this one I'm going to erase. Perfect. I love how that looks. And I'm going to go back up here and add the text layer. Rotate this just a little bit more so it fits within the box. And then I'm gonna go back over this, and I'm actually gonna type in the copy that I have for Melissa. So I like to change up copy. So for something like this, with the title, we went very agency with the title and made it very official. But with everything else, it was all about adding in more personality, just more pizzazz, more fun. So I'm gonna click OK for that. And we're gonna drag this down just a little bit. That looks good. So now I'm gonna come back up here with my little box, and I'm gonna figure out where I wanna put this guy. Let's see, actually. So this is gonna be her Instagram handle. I'm gonna move the text over just a smidge. And then I'm gonna copy and paste Alright, so then the only final thing that I'm going to do with this image is I'm going to actually go back down to here, and I'm going to grab my little eraser tool, and it's going to ask me if I want to rasterize the layer before proceeding so that we can edit. I'm going to click OK, and there's just a few things that I noticed I want to get rid of. So I'm going to clean this image up. And then once I get the image how I like it, I'm simply going to save this image as a Photoshop file, a PSD file, so that I preserve all of the layers and can edit anything that I want to if I ever want to go back. And that is pretty much it, you guys. So I'll show you a sneak peek at the rest of the headshots that we got for Local 480. So these are the final images I edited for Local 480. We might be changing it up a little bit on the website, so you're just gonna have to stay tuned and see which images we choose as the final ones. But yeah, thank you guys for sticking in here and watching this tutorial on how to select and mask a subject in Photoshop 2020.